The Singapore Grand Prix was meant to be McLaren's statement weekend, a chance to dominate under the lights. Instead, it became a window into the growing strain inside the team, a race that exposed how fragile the balance had become between their two championship contenders. At the center of it all was Oscar Piastri, openly questioning not just his teammate Lando Norris, but the way McLaren was choosing to manage its own drivers. From the moment the lights went out at Marina Bay, it was clear this race would test more than physical endurance. The heat, the humidity, and the narrow streets were always going to be demanding, but the real challenge was going to be decision-making, and it began immediately. As the field charged toward turn one, Norris saw opportunity. Starting fifth, behind his teammate who lined up third, the British driver went aggressive. It was a calculated risk, one aimed at gaining positions early and strengthening his championship push. But what followed would become the defining moment of McLaren's night, and possibly their season. Norris attempted to pass multiple cars into the opening corner. In the chaos, he first made contact with Max Verstappen's Red Bull before sliding into Piastri. The result was unavoidable in one sense, but controversial in another. Norris gained a position on his teammate through contact, something that directly contradicts McLaren's long-standing rule. Drivers are free to race, but contact between teammates is not acceptable. For Piastri, this wasn't just a racing incident, and his reaction made that clear. His first radio message was restrained, disappointed, but controlled. It wasn't anger, it was expectation, the tone of a driver who believed the team would recognize the issue and correct it. He was giving McLaren a chance to step in. That intervention never came. As the race continued and the situation went unaddressed, Piastri's frustration grew. When he asked, "Are we cool with Lando just barging me out of the way?" It was about far more than turn one. It was a direct challenge to McLaren's promise of equal treatment. The wording suggested this wasn't an isolated moment, but part of something bigger. McLaren's response revealed just how difficult their position had become. Tom Stollard, Piastri's race engineer, told him the incident was being reviewed, a signal that the complaint was being taken seriously. But when the final call came, it was clear the team had chosen race flow over internal accountability. No action during the race. The explanation, Norris was avoiding Verstappen, and the incident would be reviewed later. To Piastri, that answer changed everything. It framed the contact as unavoidable rather than excessive. The promise of a post-race review felt like delay, not resolution. "That's not fair," Piastri replied, before using stronger language. His point was simple. Norris had avoided one problem by creating another, and by using the word crashing, he made it clear he didn't see this as incidental contact. He saw it as a breach. This moment cannot be separated from McLaren's recent history. Throughout the season, the team has faced growing criticism over how it handles internal fairness, particularly in situations involving Piastri, despite his position as championship leader. Singapore wasn't an outlier. It was the latest chapter. The pattern first became clear at the Hungarian Grand Prix. Piastri entered the weekend as McLaren's leading driver, but strategy decisions ultimately handed victory to Norris. While strategy is never simple in Formula One, the outcome left Piastri questioning whether his championship position was truly being protected. The tension escalated further at the Italian Grand Prix. After a pit stop sequence that disadvantaged Norris, McLaren ordered Piastri to surrender second place. Piastri pushed back, arguing that pit stop delays had already been agreed as part of racing, not something to be corrected through team orders. Still, he complied. These moments provide essential context for Singapore. Piastri's reaction wasn't just about one corner or one piece of contact. It was about a growing belief that when difficult calls are made, they consistently fall against him. From his perspective, he has been asked to accept compromise after compromise, while his teammate continues to benefit. And in Singapore, that frustration finally came through loud and clear. The contrast in how the two drivers spoke about the incident after the race could not have been clearer. Norris showed no sense that anything unusual had occurred, describing the contact as nothing more than standard racing. "It was slippery, but it's racing," he said, brushing off the moment in his post-race interview. By framing it that way, Norris directly opposed Piastri's view that the move crossed a line and violated the team's own rules. Norris explained the incident as a small correction in difficult conditions, a description that minimized both the impact and responsibility. In his mind, it was a normal consequence of pushing hard at the start, not something that deserved further scrutiny. That difference in interpretation revealed how far apart the two drivers now were and how they saw the same moment. The championship context only amplified the significance. After Singapore, Piastri's lead over Norris was cut to 22 points, with Max Verstappen also closing in, now just 63 points behind the championship leader. With 6 races still to come, margins matter more than ever. The difference between finishing 3rd or 4th on a single weekend could ultimately shape the final standings. For Piastri, the frustration ran deeper. Before the contact, he had been ahead. He had out-qualified Norris and made a clean, controlled start. The incident didn't just cost him track position, it disrupted his race, forced strategic adjustments, and potentially altered his final result. The timing of the controversy could not have been worse for McLaren. What should have been a celebration quickly turned complicated. The team had wrapped up the Constructors' Championship with 6 races remaining, a dominant achievement that reflected their consistency, pace, and execution across the season. The car had performed at nearly every circuit, and both drivers had delivered when it mattered. Yet instead of enjoying that success, McLaren found themselves defending their internal decisions. Questions shifted away from performance and toward driver management. Was the championship leader being treated fairly? Could the team handle the pressure of managing 2 drivers fighting for the same prize? The internal tension became a distraction, one that threatened to overshadow everything McLaren had built on track.